What do you do if you have bad ancestors? Draíocht. Yesterday I did a video on ancestors at Samhain and remembering them and how important it is. Now, another very, very good account called Bard Lucy did a stitch to that, and for some reason, I don't understand TikTok. I can't seem to reply to it. So I want to talk about some of the things that she sparked in my head with her video. But her video is brilliant, and I will tag her in the comments so that you can go and have a look at her video and what she was saying. And she's some really insightful, interesting things to say about this. But one of the things that sparked in my head, and these are conversations, to be honest, gone back many, many years we've had with people. What do you do if you have bad ancestors? Now, literally, I don't care if they're the people like nearest and dearest to you who have departed. You are not required to make space in your life for anyone who has abused you, before death or after death. You are not disrespectful if you cut out people with whom you had an abusive relationship. Now, I'm not talking about someone you've fallen out with. I mean, if you have suffered at the hands of an abusive family member and they pass on and they become your ancestors, you are not required to invite them into your life or your celebrations or to acknowledge them or to respect them. People earn the respect that you give them. Now, that's kind of clear-cut. You can kind of look at people, named ancestors, known ancestors, and go, they were good or they were bad. I approve or I disapprove. Because you've had personal interaction with them. But what happens when you research your family history, when you research your ancestors and your connections, and you find very, very difficult things? There's no right or wrong way per se to deal with this. For some people, it is a case of not wanting to have anything to do with that branch of the family. For other people, they feel called upon perhaps to acknowledge, lean into, and maybe do some work towards repairing that inheritance. Other people feel that it is just part of life and we all have ancestors that we don't approve of, and they move on from it. And I'm not here to say to you that one thing is right and one thing is wrong. I can only tell you my personal UPG, my personal calling in this regard. There's none of us free from bad ancestors. We have ancestors who are everything we would want them to be and that we can romanticize and that we can identify with. And we have ancestors who were absolutely people we would abhor. We have people who did bad things but were very much the product of their times and in context probably thought they were doing the right thing. How do you deal with that? Then there are people who did things that are dodgy. They might look on paper, you could go, well, that was they were thieves, they were robbers, whatever. But then you look at the context of how they lived, maybe the oppression that they lived under, and you're judging them by today's standards as criminals. But were they, or were they just trying to stay alive in a very harsh and unjust system? So you have to do something about this spiritually. If you are going to engage in ancestral veneration, if you are doing ancestral work, the one thing you can't do really is ignore all of this. You have to decide how you feel about it. That takes work. You have to evaluate whether or not what you're looking at and what they did was bad. Empirically, unquestionably, objectively bad. You have to evaluate whether it was mistaken within the context of its times. You have to evaluate to what degree can you live with their decisions and to what degree do you absolutely abhor their decisions. But even if you agree with their decisions and they caused harm to innocent people, to a degree, you inherit, if you wish to include those people in your spiritual ancestral work, you inherit a responsibility to repair some of that damage. Or you decide that it is irreparable and you must not do it. Again, Nobody can tell you what's the best thing to do. Only you know that. Only you can do that work, but it is work. If you engage with your ancestors and try to ignore that legacy, bad ancestry, bad behaviour, colonialism, imperialism, anything like that, whether it's closer to you or whether it's further away, then you're not really doing ancestral work. You have a pretty altar and you say pretty words. It is work, and it requires really, really hard decisions and soul searching and evaluation and thought and connectivity with these, the past and with your ancestral claims. But you can honour your ancestral ties while still absolutely working to undo any harm that they may have done. You have to find, though, what works for you, what spiritual pathway works and that you can live with. Now, for me, I believe in looking head on. I come from quite a mixed ancestry. I have Belgian in me, I have Flemish, I have French, I have some English, I have Irish people who emigrated to England who then emigrated back to Ireland. I am the daughter of Irish rebels. I am the daughter of Irish RIC men. I know what it's like to have a very mixed bag. And some of it is ancestry that makes you proud, and some of it is ancestry you identify with, and some of it is very uncomfortable. But for me, I have dealt with this by feeling called to addressing that inheritance, working my way through it, and doing what I can to undo any harm that may have been done. It's not my responsibility to forgive. It's not my responsibility to I'm not going to completely eradicate it, but I feel it contributes towards my understanding of how I operate in the world, what legacy I leave. I want to leave a better legacy, and I learn perhaps from the mistakes of the past, which in a way is getting your education from your ancestors. So you have to work through these issues yourself. Nobody can do it for you, but you can take guidance on it. You can listen to other people's point of views. You can find out how other people did it. But you have to do the work. Otherwise, as I say, you're not really doing ancestral work. You're just paying lip service to some romantic notion of ancestry. I hope these are good thoughts for you. I hope this is something that will spark conversations and ideas, and I will happily answer any questions, or I'd love to hear other points of view on it. So bye for now.